Okay, class, let's try another problem here. This time I'm going to do a linear function. So let's say we're given this. F of 1 equals 8 and f of 3 equals negative 10. Believe it or not, that's enough information for us to come up with an equation of a line. So can we find such a linear function where these ideas are true, where f of 1 equals 8 and f of 3 equals negative 10? Can we come up with a function where when we let x equal 1, the output's 8, and when we let x equal 3, the output is negative 10? It seems like a good Sherlock Holmes mystery, so let's see if we can do this. So, all you need to write an equation of a line are 2 points, or a point and a slope. So let's try, so we're going to do, I'll do a table of values. X, Y, we know X is 1. When X is 1, apparently the output is 8. So we've got to remember, this idea is the same, f of 1 equals 8 is the same idea as this table of values, which is the same idea as this, an ordered pair, 1, 8. So all three of these things, boom, boom, and boom, are all saying the same thing. Okay, now let's do the same thing for this. F of 3 equals negative 10. So for this function, which we have yet to determine, when you let x equal 3, the output, or y, is negative 10. So I'll include that in the same table of values here. When x is 3, y is negative 10, which is the same idea as this. So we have, so can we see how we translated this idea into two ordered pairs? And again, all you need is 2 points to make a straight line. So we need to find the slope of this line. And we can do that with this formula. When you're given 2 points in a line, think of this formula. And let's see, I'll call this my x sub 1, y sub 1, and this my x sub 2, y sub 2. Just makes it easier when I identify these order pairs like that and that, because here's the formula. Doesn't matter, by the way. I could have called this x sub 2, y sub 2, and this one, this ordered pair, x sub 1, y sub 1. And I'd get the same answer. Just don't mix up your onesies and twosies, though. Okay, so let's prepare to attack. Let's find the slope of this line. So I'm going to write m equals, and what am I going to write for y sub 2? Negative 10. So negative 10 minus, says the formula. And what is y sub 1? Y sub 1 is 8. It's right there, 8, the y coordinate. So I'm going to write 8 over x sub 2, which is 3. So I'm going to write 3 for that x sub 2, minus, says the formula. And what is x sub 1? X sub 1 is 1. And now let's simplify this. Negative 10 minus 8 is negative 18. It really helps if you know how to add and subtract sign numbers. If you don't, make sure you try to understand it or come to my office hours. And then what's 3 minus 1? For the denominator, we get 2. Always simplify when you can. And that's the same thing as negative 9. So that's the slope. Next thing I'm going to do to write the equation of this line, which again goes through these 2 points. There's only one line in the universe that will go through these 2 points, and we're going to find it. So let's write y equals mx plus b. That's a great beginning. It's an equation of a line in slope-intercept form. Very powerful when you solve an equation of a line for y, because automatically the coefficient of x, which is m here, is going to be the slope, and this last number automatically is going to be the y-intercept. In other words, where does the graph cross the y-axis? Okay, let's now plug in for all, this is nothing but variables. Let's plug in for all the variables but b. So what are we going to plug in for y? Well, I've got choices here. Just pick one of these 2 points. All you need is one of these 2 points. So just stick with one of them, and it doesn't matter which one you choose. I'll choose this one since there's no negative numbers, no negative coordinates here. But if I chose this one, I get the same answer for the equation of the line. So what am I going to plug in for y? 8. So I'm going to write 8 equals m. What is m? We worked hard to get m. That was negative 9. What am I going to plug in for x? I got to go back to that same ordered pair And I'll plug in 1. Isn't that the x-coordinate? So 1 and then plus b. So mission accomplished. We filled in for all the variables but b. Next step, always multiply those two right off the bat. So now we have a equals -9 plus b, because that's a product, m times x. -9 times 1 is -9. Okay, and now we want to solve for b. So let's add 9 to both sides. We get 17 equals b. Once you solve for b, we're 99% done. I'll write y equals mx plus b again. And this time, only fill in for m and b. You need your x's and y's for the equation of the line. So I'm going to write y equals m was -9. And don't forget the variable x. And what was b again? Positive 17. So plus 17. There it is. That's the equation of the line. Just for fun, let's check to see if this ordered pair, 3, -10, does that satisfy this equation? It should. So let's see, y is going to be -10. Here's a little check here. -9, x was 3, plus 17. Is this a true statement? I'll put a question mark here to be humble. And let's see, -10 equals, what's -9 times 3? -27 plus 17. And isn't that a true statement? Doesn't -27 plus 17 equal -10? Yeah, it works indeed. So, that is good. Let's stick with this problem. How about if I now do this? Find the equation of the line which is parallel to the given line, to y equals -9x plus 17. That's the line that we just found. See if we can find an equation of a line which is parallel to this line and goes through the ordered pair or the point, we'll say 1, -1. Okay, so, because we need to know how to do this stuff too. So the thing about this problem is we have to know this. If two lines are parallel, they will have the same slope. If two lines have the same slope, they will be parallel. So the converse is true as well. So let's see if we can do this. So I'm going to write y equals mx plus b. You know what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw the given line. Y equals -9x plus 17. So isn't that the y-intercept? So here's, on my graph, I'll make this 0, 17. And I'll put a point there. And what was the slope? Slope, isn't that going to be -9? So I'll go down 9, rise over run. So if I go down 9, that's in a negative direction. And then go 1 to the right, which is in a positive direction. And then negative divided by a positive is a negative because I want the slope to be -9. And now let's connect these 2 points. So that's the given line. What we want to do is find this point. Find the equation of this dotted line. And I put a point there. That's going to be, say, 1, -1, that is. So we want to, here's that point 1, -1, which I just randomly made up. So can we find the equation of this dotted line? Doesn't this dotted line look parallel to the given line? And it is going through the point 1, -1. So how are we going to do that? How are we going to find the equation of this dotted line? Because we already know the equation of the solid line. That's y equals -9x plus 17. I'll even write that down. Y equals -9x plus 17. Okay, let's find this equation now of the dotted line. So I'm going to write y equals mx plus b. And what am I going to write for y? Make sure you choose this one here, -1. Don't choose this one. Choose for because we want to find the equation of the dotted line. And if this point is on a dotted line, that means this point or ordered pair satisfies the equation which makes that line. So for y, I'm going to plug in -1, the y coordinate, equals, what's the slope going to be? What's the slope of this dotted line? It's the same slope as the given line, -9. So I'm going to write negative 9. What is x going to be? The x coordinate, which is 1, plus b. So notice I wrote down the beautiful slope-intercept form of a line. It's a good thing to lean on. First step, fill in for all the variables but b. Next step, immediately multiply those two factors. So we get negative 1 equals negative 9 plus b. Add 9 to both sides to get b by itself. What's negative 1 plus 9? 8 equals b. When I add 9 to both sides, I get that. And now I got my equation for the line. It's going to be y equals same slope, negative 9, x, and then b is a positive 8. So plus 8. If b were a negative 8, it'd be a minus 8. But it's plus 8. And so I'll write that right here. That's the equation of this line. Y equals negative 9x plus 8. And in fact, doesn't this dotted line, doesn't that look like the y-intercept could be 0, 8 indeed? Sir. Okay, what about, instead of asking this, find the equation of the line which is parallel to the given line, y equals negative 9x plus 17. How about I erase the word parallel now and make it perpendicular. So I'm going to use a different ink color to make it more clear. So I'm going to write perpendicular. That's the symbol for perpendicular. So here's a good thing to know. If two lines are perpendicular to each other, that means they cross or intersect at a 90-degree angle, a right angle. And this will always be true about their slopes. Their slopes will be negative reciprocals of each other. Just make sure we know what that means. What's the what's the reciprocal of 3/5? Wouldn't that be 5/3? You just flip it. What's the negative reciprocal of 3/5? Just multiply that by negative 1, so it would be negative 5/3. What's the negative reciprocal of 7, do you think? And wouldn't it be negative 1/7? Because 7 is the same thing as 7 over 1. So flip it and multiply it by negative 1. That's the negative reciprocal. Now that you know that, what do you think is the slope of, let's say it goes through the same point, by the way. 1, negative 1. So now I'm going to draw the line. It's good to see a picture of what's going on here. I'm going to go through the point 1, negative 1, but perpendicular to the given line. So right there looks pretty good. Notice I went through the point 1, negative 1, and doesn't this meet at a right angle here? That little box means 90 degrees. So what's the equation of this line, the green line, which is perpendicular to the given line and goes through this random point 1, negative 1. So what's the equation of this line going to be? Well, let's write y equals mx plus b. And what am I going to plug in for y? The y coordinate that the line goes through, which is negative 1. So negative 1 equals, what's the slope of this green line? The line which is perpendicular to the given line. Isn't the slope going to be the negative reciprocal of that slope of the solid black line? What's the negative reciprocal of negative 9? I believe it is 1/9. And then, because the reciprocal of negative 9 is negative 1/9, then multiply it by negative 1 to get positive 1/9. Because again, a line and the perpendicular line, their slopes are negative reciprocals of each other. What am I going to write for this x here? The x coordinate right there, which is 1. And then plus b. Notice we were doing this, writing the equation of a line. You write down y equals mx plus b, and then you fill in for all the variables but b. Immediately multiply these two together. So our next step is negative 1 equals 1/9 plus b. What does b equal then? Subtract 1/9 from both sides. What's negative 1 minus 1/9? Negative 1 and 1/9, which is the same thing as negative 10/9. 9 times 1 is 1, plus 1 is 10 over 9, and it's negative. So once you've solved for b, you're 99% done. What's the equation now of this green line? It's going to be, you can write y equals mx plus b again, but I'll just save some time here and write write it directly. Y equals m. Make sure you write the right m. The slope for the green line we determined is 1/9. So 1/9 x, and b is negative 10/9. So minus 10/9. So there it is. We found the equation of 3 different lines here. We found the equation of the solid black line, which was the original question. Then we found the equation of this parallel line to the given line going through the point 1, -1, which I just made up. And we found that equation. And then, which is this one right here. And then we found the equation of the green line, which was perpendicular to the original line, the solid black line. And we got that there. So that was cool stuff. Very cool stuff. And on that note, I shall say goodbye, everybody.